Hello and welcome to this video explaining the OHSU Sports Medicine Fellowship Program. My name is Ryan Petering. I'm the Program Director. It's a pleasure to meet you and get the opportunity to introduce our program to you, which we are very proud of and excited to offer to each incoming group of fellow applicants. I've got a presentation that I'll walk through with you that's going to take about 30 to 45 minutes, but it will be very detailed and give you all the explanations I can think of to help you be fully aware of what our program offers and the approach and style we have to training sports medicine fellows. Throughout this video, you'll hear me describe some of the nuances of our curriculum, the programs we work with, the people of our program, as well as the environment you'll train in. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a family physician by training. I did my medical school training in Northeast Tennessee at East Tennessee State University. I did my residency and fellowship here at OHSU. I was the first person to go through our sports medicine fellowship and have been part of the faculty ever since. My clinical practice is about 50% family medicine and 50% sports medicine. Clinically, I have interests revolving around education as well as musculoskeletal ultrasound. I also value the efforts of maintaining continuity of care for athletes and highlighting the value of primary care for the athletic individual. This includes both some of my work with professional running teams in the region as well as with recreational athletes. In the world of education and academics, I spend a lot of energy on education. We'll talk some about some of the projects we have at OHSU and some of the teaching, and these are aspects I've used to build the foundation of my academic career. Our Sports Medicine Fellowship is an intense one-year program that has many different offerings, which we've tried to selectively customize how it is experienced by each fellow. We make every effort to do the things we can do to make your training while here customized if possible. There are many things that are required through the ACGME, which we cannot really change. However, there are many things we have some flexibility to adjust, and we make efforts to do so. So, to save time and to get right to it, let's start talking about the program. Although it starts out as wordy documents, we do have some dedicated purpose and mission statements, which primarily I'd focus on the mission statement, which is to train fellows in comprehensive sports medicine with an emphasis on exercise promotion, sports ultrasound, primary care for athletes and athletically oriented individuals, and active involvement in national sports medicine societies. Our leadership of the fellowship is designed with two program directors, myself and the associate program director, who is Melissa Novak. Christina Capobianco is our program coordinator, and many of you have already experienced communication with her. Our website is listed here. If you have not done it, please do search out the OHSU Sports Medicine Fellowship website, as we have a lot of our information we will be covering there on that website. If I had to start somewhere when people ask me, why do I like the fellowship, or what are my favorite aspects of the fellowship, without any pause or hesitation, it is the people. I take great pride in the group of faculty we have assembled in our sports medicine training program. This is focusing on just our sports medicine faculty, as OHSU is a large tertiary care center that has many, many different levels of great faculty that a fellow can work with. However, this core group of people you see before you are cornerstones of the fellow's academic involvement. Although I can't go through each one of these faculty in great detail, I am going to take a moment and just go through each one individually to say a couple of things. Melissa Novak, pictured here, is our sports medicine program associate director. She is a DO who still maintains a family medicine and sports medicine practice. She's involved nationally with AMSSM. She is the lead team physician for the Portland State Athletic Department, and she serves on many other academic resource groups and roles within the university. She has many roles with the fellows, including day-to-day management and supervision of clinical care. Sean Robinson is a head team physician at Lewis and Clark. He is also a family and sports medicine physician. He practices at our Gabriel Park location. He is involved heavily in the medical school, educational curriculum, and didactic development programs we have to offer at OHSU. Ryan Norton is a faculty member at the Beaverton Clinic. He's also co-director of the Human Performance Lab. He is a family physician and sports medicine physician. He spends much of his hours working with the Human Performance Lab as well as the Portland Fire Department as he serves as a medical director for them. Running medicine is one of his specialties, as well as Dr. Robinson's. Jim Chestnut is a senior faculty member who helped found our sports medicine department. He currently works in a split role with our group, functioning as a clinician, seeing patients a day a week. He really has developed OHSU and Oregon's concussion medical management systems. He still sees concussion patients and is active in work with those groups. He also does research in the neurology and family medicine departments in concussion research and is a national speaker on these topics. Nick Welter is a graduate of our program, a family and sports medicine physician who practices at a local clinic called Scappoose, which is a regional satellite clinic. He does both family and sports medicine still. He is a team physician for George Fox. He also works clinically on ultrasound applications. Doug McCaig is a legend in the sports medicine world who works with our fellows both as a preceptor as well as a mentor and advisee. Dr. McCaig helped found AMSSM, which is a real honor and privilege to be able to talk to somebody who knows the intimate beginnings of sports medicine as a profession and has been around throughout the official organization of sports medicine. Carol Federick is a faculty member. Carol comes out of the emergency medicine training initiative. She works solely as a sports physician in our Gabriel Park location. She works with our residents and fellows as an educator and has a broad skill set in primary care sports medicine. Rachel Benson is another emergency medicine, sports medicine trained faculty. She works part-time in the emergency medicine department as a clinician as well as an educator. She also works with our fellows and clinically supervises rotations. Yuka Kobayashi is a family medicine, sports medicine physician. She is involved in our Beaverton location. She has a diverse set of interests from clinical medicine to education and academics. She's helping to lay the foundation for one of our new residency programs and the training of the family medicine residents there. At the bottom, you'll see different groups of faculty that are out of the subset of our core primary care group. Bottom left are 2 orthopedic surgeons. Dr. Andrea Herzka is a fellowship-trained hip arthroscopist as well as general sports medicine surgeon. She really has a following in the community for her work in hip surgery and hip pathology, but she has a diverse skill set. She's a team physician at a high school and works as a primary clinical lead with the sports medicine fellows. Dr. Jackie Brady is the lead orthopedic surgeon physician for Portland State University and is heavily involved in our educational programs for orthopedic residents, sports medicine fellows, and other learners. Dr. Ty Duffield is a clinical neuropsychologist who is centered at the Gabriel Park Sports Medicine Center, where the fellows' home base is. He sees concussion patients in an exclusive practice that primarily focuses on concussions and specifically concussions in young athletes and adolescents. He works in combination with our clinical team to provide assessments and further our clinical management by having a neuropsychologist directly embedded in our sports medicine clinic. Ryan Rockwood is an athletic trainer who works in many roles in our program, primarily works in the management of concussion patients, doing assessments prior to clinical evaluations for concussion patients, as well as working with several local high schools. Finally, Dr. Carrie Keel is our lead director of the Human Performance Lab, which we will talk about further in the discussion. These people are the cornerstone of what makes our program one of the best that we can offer. We are excited about the diversity of their training background as well as their diversity of clinical management and skills, which gives fellows a diverse set of minds and ideas to help craft your sports medicine career. We also have a partnership with the Peace Health Sports Medicine Program. This is a one-year community sports medicine fellowship based in Vancouver, Washington. Kevin DeWeber is the program director and Brian Lowell is the primary assistant faculty. There is one fellow in this program, and we share didactic time with the Peace Health Sports Fellow. As well, you spend some time there doing didactic work. So in essence, you get two fellowship directors. Dr. DeWeber has a lengthy experience in sports medicine, both for AMSSM, the military, and the Olympic Committee and the Olympic Care of Athletes. He teaches faculty one day per month, as well as with many of our extracurricular events, including the AMSSM CME course. If you're not familiar with Portland and Oregon or OHSU, briefly I'll mention some words of OHSU. It is the only academic health center in Oregon. It is a large tertiary care center with diverse footprint. Here on the upper image we see the campus, which is large and sits on top of a hill surrounded by treed park zones. The Gabriel Park Training Center, which is localized in southwest Portland, is the main hub for the fellowship. This is where the fellows' offices are and most of the clinical care occurs. We have rotations throughout OHSU's footprint, but more activities, including our didactic activities, happen here at the Gabriel Park campus. The South Waterfront campus is accessed by a tram which goes from the South Waterfront to the main campus. At the South Waterfront, we have a variety of clinical experiences as well as the March Wellness Gym, which the fellows are involved with. OHSU is a great place to learn and train, especially in the fields of primary care. OHSU's family medicine program is often ranked one of the top programs in the country, and the fellowship is affiliated with our family medicine residency, which is led by Dr. Joe Scaraya. Our family medicine residency is innovative. They were one of the first programs to go to a 4-year program about 8 years ago. There is an immense focus on training and recruiting some of the best family medicine candidates and promoting great clinicians and leaders that leave the program. Our fellowship works closely with the family medicine program and is honored to have it as its anchor in our academic system. Briefly, I'll show you a map of Portland, the main metropolitan area, just to get an idea of the footprint of where all of our clinical services are offered. Gabriel Park, which I mentioned, is here in southwest Portland. That is our main hub. The Center for Health and Healing and the South Waterfront are localized here down by the river. Clinical sites include our Portland State University, which is downtown. We also have Lewis and Clark College, which is in South Portland. Clinical sites are diverse. We have several clinical locations near Beaverton. This is where several clinical sites happen throughout the weeks. We have clinical sites in Hillsborough, Orenco Station, Scappoose, and then Richmond. This is a good lay of the land for the types of areas you'll experience while you're in Portland, at least geographically. Speaking of our program and the graduates, we have a two fellowship structure now. Our first 2 years, we only had one fellow. You'll see by the highlighted fields in the parentheses, we've had two internists, we've had one med peds, we've had several emergency medicine physicians, and then we've had a pediatrician train in our program. We do not accept PM&R residents. At the bottom, I've listed some findings. 5 out of 20 of our graduates have stayed in an academic environment. 18 of the 20 to some degree maintain their primary specialty. 5 out of 20 are professional sports team doctors, and 18 out of 20 maintain their role as a team physician. These faculty have taken jobs across the country, from Massachusetts to California and up to the Northwest in Seattle and Portland. There are folks who have trained at OHSU only with a goal to return back to their home. There are folks who have come here to train and have never left and have stayed in the Northwest. Briefly, we'll go through our daily schedule. Our program has aims, which I've highlighted here. These aims are designed to help put a structure on the management of our daily schedule as well as our didactics. Several things that we pride ourselves on are, number one, a diversity of clinical experiences, as well understanding aspects of comprehensive primary care for athletes and active individuals. This includes our emergency medicine faculty who don't necessarily function as primary care physicians. However, taking care of athletes, we believe, is a cornerstone of that is continuity of care. We have a variety of different curriculums, including our lifestyle medicine curriculum, which is integrated throughout the training program, that has a focus on health promotion and exercise as a method of disease management. In addition, ultrasound is a large focus in our training, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. At the opening segment, I talked about leadership being a cornerstone value that we offer or encourage our fellows to pursue, and we'll cover that a little bit further. Let's talk about COVID. So as almost every program I'm aware of, we've suffered and struggled to try to figure out an approach to the coronavirus 19 crisis. Our colleges are functioning. The schools in the Oregon school districts are not currently allowing contact sports. We do have regular fellowship involvement with the faculty and the fellows with our colleges. Even though there's less clinical care, there still is some clinical care for the athletes that's occurring. We also have fellows that are taking part side by side with the faculty on creating the approach of the universities and the colleges to the pandemic. Our clinical operations are up and running. All of our elective procedures and sports clinics are functioning nearly at normal capacity. We, like many clinicians, have evolved into virtual visits and telephone visits, which fellows have the ability to use as their own clinical tools. We continue to hold academic and didactic sessions. We do more of those outdoors and more over Zoom meetings. We've tried to make every effort to maintain our hands-on clinical skills, including cadaver labs and workshops. This does unfortunately have some limits, as some of our CME events have had to be postponed or canceled. The important message to trainees looking at the program is we're making every effort to make sure that a fellow who comes here gets the most robust exposure to sports medicine, even in the setting of a pandemic where there are less athletes participating in athletic endeavors. Throughout the curriculum and throughout the year, we will continue to adapt and evolve based on what COVID presents to us. We're optimistic that we'll still be able to provide you with as good a training as you can get anywhere in the country, even though it will be different than previous years. Here's an example of our daily schedule. The different blocks and shades represent our two fellows and their schedules for this year. So here is a schedule for Dr. Block. Here is a schedule for Dr. Kareem. The LC and Portland State indicate which college they work at. We'll come to that in a moment. Here you see the schedules. These are different faculty and different clinics. So one day, one fellow is at the orthopedics office at South Waterfront. The other day, the orthopedist is at the CHH. The emergency department listed here is for Dr. Block, who's an emergency physician. Different faculty are on different sports rotations. Dr. Federick, Dr. Novak, Dr. Robinson. Throughout the year, our curriculum changes. Year by year, our curriculum changes depending on individual aspects of that training cycle. As such, during the year, you may have a set of months, typically the first 3 months, where this curriculum or this schedule is the same. And then after about 3 months, the schedule will change. Following those first 6 months, we often rotate the schedule a little more quickly. However, the same structure is maintained. I'll call out a couple of items on here. Notice Fridays, we call it a fellow precepted day. So this is, for those of you who are training in primary care, family medicine, a precepted sports medicine clinic. This is a nice alternative to working with an attending who has their own schedule. Having attendings with their own schedules is nice because many attendings have developed a career path that allows them to have a following of professional athletes or elite athletes, that the physician is the only person who would take care for them. The fellows get to be involved in that care and take care of the patients with the faculty. And in many aspects, it's beneficial because the faculty or the fellows can rotate through the different patients the faculty is seeing. On the precepted days, the fellow is the doctor of record for the day, and there is a faculty member there to precept. For those trained in family medicine, we have a half day per week at the Gabriel Park Clinic as a precepted family medicine or primary care clinic. Here, as I mentioned earlier, Dr. Block has a half day per week on average in his emergency department training specialty. Our didactics are clustered on Wednesday afternoon. We have a 4-hour block where didactics are held every week with the Peace Health Fellow. More to come on that in a moment. Our didactic program is comprehensive and thorough. As mentioned in the scheduling section earlier, we hold this on Wednesday afternoons. It's a shared didactic session with the Peace Health Residency and Fellowship in Vancouver, Washington. Multiple different faculty rotate through the week, guiding discussions and lectures. I'll show you in a moment some slides which illustrate the schedule and how the schedule structure is. Our didactic curriculum is diverse. We have a variety of different themes or subsets, both in orthopedic or musculoskeletal sports medicine, medical sports medicine in context of pulmonology, cardiology, non-orthopedic sports medicine topics. We have a theme of curriculum about concussion care. We have a theme of curriculum in lifestyle medicine, which we've really expanded in the last 2 to 3 years, which looks into the growth of sports medicine or applications in sports medicine for sleep and diet and exercise. We encourage the fellows to participate in our exercise as medicine curriculum, which involves several different skills throughout the year. Here we see what the curriculum looks like. Different color codes represent the different themes throughout the academic year. Yellow being medical, sports medicine, purple being lifestyle medicine. The ultrasound curriculum is included in this schedule, and we'll talk about that next. The articles and journals and readings out of text are listed on the right column. All text are provided for the fellows. A very popular topic is ultrasound and ultrasound curriculum. I'll say a few words about that now. I'll show you a couple of examples of our schedule in just a moment of the didactic training. This graph in the bottom, or chart in the bottom, is a copy of our didactic schedule for the year. Here you can see a lecture, which is on groin pain and athletic pubalgia. It is on the same day. These two are clustered during week 17 on a Wednesday afternoon. And the first half of the teaching session is a didactic review where there are topics, articles, textbooks we use as references for the fellows to read, and there is an active debate and discussion with a faculty member. Then we have a dedicated hour and a half on the same day where we practice ultrasound of the groin using some references as well as common resources like the AMSSM ultrasound curriculum, Jacobson's Fundamentals of Ultrasound, musculoskeletal ultrasound. These hands-on sessions are with a faculty member and fellows participating after some demonstrations and some lectures on how to do the scans. This is nice because we get a protected opportunity to scan one another and learn the techniques about musculoskeletal ultrasound without having to have the pressure of being in a clinical exam. Throughout the clinical schedule, you get to work with faculty, all of which have different levels of ultrasound training. Some faculty use the ultrasound minimal amounts of time in their clinical structure, others use it heavily. It is a focus of our program to not just highlight the use of ultrasound for musculoskeletal injections. My personal approach to use of ultrasound relies heavily on the applications of diagnostic ultrasounds and challenging some basic premises in sports medicine, such as everyone with shoulder pain should get an x-ray. I think it's fun to debate the question of why would you not start with an ultrasound for anyone who needs imaging for their shoulder condition. I've got a brochure up from our OHSU AMSSM CME course. This is a national CME course that we host every year. It is a 4-day course, which is a very high yield, hands-on didactic curriculum. It involves 2 days of scanning and 2 days in our cadaver lab. Our fellows take part in this course. And even as such, I'll show you on the side here, this is our curriculum for the beginner or introductory ultrasound course. And last year, as every year, our 3 fellows, Dr. V. Hindigola from Peace Health, and then Dr. Vallette and Dr. Welter were our fellows from last year's training cycle. These fellows participated as faculty, and that gives you an idea. Notice the date of November, where 3 months into the fellowship training cycle, you are functioning as a faculty in a national CME course. We use the AMSSM recommended ultrasound curriculum and have expanded well beyond that, but use this as our core base. On the national involvement AMSSM level, all of our faculty and residents participate in the AMSSM in some degree. Several of the faculty, including Melissa Novak, Jim Chestnut, and myself, as well as Dr. McCaig, are heavily involved nationally in committee work as well as curriculum and content development. Most of our fellows have their posters submitted and traveled to the AMSSM course. We also have a recommendation that our fellows participate in groups beyond just the didactic lectures. Here, Dr. Suchi, our fellow from a few years ago, showed off a little bit when I encouraged them to go take part in committees and learn more about what AMSSM has to offer. And you'll see he did a great job of getting lots of bling on his name tag for the year. Our CME conferences are numerous. It depends each year based on different variables. Unfortunately, like many aspects of our training, COVID has had an impact on this. We annually go to the Ironman Sports Medicine Conference, which is held in October of each year. There is a 5-day elite endurance athlete medicine CME course that is very high yield. In addition, we work in the Ironman medical tent as part of the staff providing care for the Ironman World Championship. This is a terrific learning opportunity as well as a bonding experience with the faculty, which typically 2 faculty and 2 fellows go on the trip. AMSSM is required or expected of every faculty member, as is our local AMSSM course, where you'll serve as a faculty the first day and then as an attendee the latter days. We have several other events, a local brain concussion conference, ACSM, a physical therapy CME event. ACSM is an option for fellows to go. We have offered historically to pay for fellows to go to ACSM if they can get something submitted for publication. Let's talk for a moment about our colleges. Portland State and Lewis and Clark are the 2 colleges that we serve. Portland State is a Division I school located in downtown Portland. Lewis and Clark College is a Division III school located in southwest Portland, several miles from the main Gabriel Park campus. Both of these colleges have roughly the same number of student athletes. They have slightly different athlete distributions. Both have tackle football teams. Both have a diversity of different sports. At each college, the fellow is the only learner in the clinical environment. Each college has a team physician. As I mentioned, Sean Robinson is at Lewis and Clark, and Jackie Brady and Melissa Novak are at Portland State. The sports medicine fellow is really the figurehead of the medical team. They are the first point of contact. They are spending many hours in the training room, on the sidelines, and working with the athletes. As well, most fellows have used their quality improvement projects, as well as any research done has often revolved around the colleges they care for. At the beginning of each match cycle, once we know the names of the fellows who will match with us, we work with each of you to discuss our colleges again, and it's a self-selection process by how we design who is going to which college. Each college has 2 sessions per week of a training room, usually in the afternoons or early evenings, and then there is a regular cycle of events as one would expect for an academic calendar year. We have several high schools that our faculty are team physicians for. We have a high school training room program that the fellows participate in, which is very popular and very rewarding for the fellows to work with high school student athletes. Usually we center it out of one of these 3 high schools, which are located in the Beaverton School District, which is on the west side of the Portland metro area. Fellows will cover games on Friday evenings, as well as participate in mass physicals, as well as athlete care in the clinic and athlete care in the training room. For mass participation events, we have several events and have a goal as a program to have 3 or 4 mass participation events for the fellows to take part in. Currently, that is led by the Portland Marathon, which is a large major race that runs in downtown Portland. The OHSU Health program currently is one of the main sponsors of the Portland Marathon. I serve as the medical director for the Portland Marathon, and the fellows have a didactic curriculum which we hold every 2 weeks during the first 2 months of the fellowship to talk about planning marathon race coverage. The Shamrock Run is in the spring, usually in March around St. Patrick's Day. This is a large race that only goes up to half marathon distance. However, it has upwards of 30,000 participants whenever races are allowed to occur. The OSAA State Championships are our other main event. This is highlighted by the State Wrestling Tournament, which is a 4-day event, which the fellows spend most of those days working in those environments. These are very great events. Unfortunately, as many events across the country, they've been postponed for academic year 2020-2021. We are hopeful as we continue to look for solutions to find ways to work athletes back onto the field and get athletes back into mass participation that we'll be able to resume these. Our approach in the COVID training cycle has been to continue the didactic information as we can. So this year, even though the Portland Marathon was canceled, we still had our every 2 week planning session meetings where I met with the fellows and we reviewed the content that we would normally review, just not having the hands-on event. Another focus of our program is academics and didactics. We have a diverse number of different educational experiences beyond the core curriculum of the fellowship. These are all opportunities that we encourage and essentially mandate that the fellows participate in. Our family medicine clerkship medical students are a source of several teaching lectures. Our family medicine residents are taught by our sports fellows. We have a journal club as well as a concussion conference where the fellows typically will present articles and review those with the group. March Wellness, pictured on the left side of the screen, is a gym in the Portland area. We have fellows give talks to any gym members who are interested. This is a fun effort to get involved with the community and practice the skill of giving talks to people in the realm of sports medicine. The other trade-off for this is you get a free gym membership at March Wellness as part of the fellowship. Another highlight of our training program is pictured on the bottom right, which is our Virtuoso Cadaver Lab Center. We have, on average, about 10 days per year that the fellow spends in the cadaver lab with ultrasound and non-ultrasound guided injection practice. This is really high yield and really unique to the landscape of training programs. Several of the workshops in the Virtuoso Cadaver Lab, the fellows are purely a learner. Several other sessions, you are teaching residents, fellows in other groups, as well as even sometimes faculty on how to do both ultrasound and non-ultrasound guided injections. Another highlight of our program is the Human Performance Lab. Here we see Dr. Carrie Keel, who was mentioned to you in the opening segments. Our sports fellows spend a half day per week, most months of the training cycle, working in the Human Performance Lab. There are a diversity of different types of athletes that come into the lab. We have some athletes with clinical conditions. We have other athletes with different sports medicine related goals. This is a friend of our program who was a victim of multiple sclerosis, who is training to do a 1,000-mile bike ride across Oregon and into the western mountain states. He came to the lab for several cycles of training episodes where they would take different measurements to help be able to map out his sweat rate and his salt loss to be able to help him train and prepare. Several other endeavors with community members and youth athletes, as shown on the side. The Human Performance Lab also works with our Portland Fire Department and provides physicals and baseline VO2 max and cardiovascular screening tests. Our fellows work hand in hand with these clinicians and take part in all of these different assessments. Dr. Carrie Keel and Dr. Ryan Norton lead the lab and are both researchers and have several different research projects typically occurring at the same time. Another experience often asked about by fellows is a ski clinic. We do have access to a ski clinic that we work with. This is Dr. Mike Murray, who is a friend of our program. There is a ski clinic at the base of Mount Hood Meadows Ski Resort. The fellows have an option we consider an elective that is optional but not required to go and work in the ski clinic. It is a great place to see acute musculoskeletal trauma. On a busy Saturday weekend, there will be many different injuries that come through the clinic, from fractures to dislocations. There are x-rays on site, as well as emergency medical services. During normal interview seasons, one of the most popular questions is always, what changes do we envision? The simple answer this year is adapting to the COVID pandemic. We don't have any major changes on the horizon for the structure of the program. We have hope that we'll be able to continue navigating well with our mass participation events as well as our colleges on helping support them as medical experts, guiding their decision making, as well as helping with ensuring the fellows get adequate clinical exposure. We have several unique, kind of exciting new opportunities we're exploring, including partnerships with the University of Oregon and possibly having our fellows go to the University of Oregon, which is an hour and a half south of Portland, for either clinical care or educational events. We're also continuing to invest in the growth of our program with possibility of adding 1 to 2 more faculty over the coming years. In general, there are many things we feel makes the OHSU sports medicine program a win and very attractive for applicants. If you're not familiar with Oregon and the Northwest, there is a diverse amount of outdoor and athletic activities at the footstep of our training program. The city of Portland is well known for food, great cultural events. Unfortunately, as many of you are aware, there's also a lot of politics and a lot of protesting. I'll rest assured and reassure you that our training program and the participants are very safe. The events many hear on the news are localized in a few small blocks in the late hours of the evening. So don't let the news you hear about Portland, Oregon dissuade you from coming or learning more about our program, because it's a very minimal impact on the day-to-day activity of most Portlanders. From mountain biking to skiing to hiking and climbing to surfing at the coast to camping, there's a diversity of outdoor activities, which makes the time off very enjoyable and a great sales pitch for our program. If there's one summary when we have to wrap up why OHSU sports medicine is great, it's our people. Here are some random photos from our recent graduates over the last 3 or 4 years. We have a diversity of different applicants and people. Our faculty are diverse and focused on education, and we look forward to the opportunity to share this with you as an applicant. Hopefully this short video has helped you understand about the OHSU Sports Medicine Fellowship. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to tell you more about our program. We look forward to meeting you during the interview process. Please do forward any questions or additional requests for information to any member of our team, and we'll be happy to reach out to you to provide more information.